was a good and wise king that died of leprosy. The people were depressed by the demise of King Uzziah, and it seemed that an era was ending. Uzziah had a message for them. Even though King Uzziah had died, God is still on his throne. Uzziah. It was during the year when King Uzziah was dying, when depression was besetting the people who were grieving for their king on earth, that I saw the Lord as king, sitting on his eternal throne in heaven. His throne was very high up and towering far above me, exalted very highly above all things in glorious majesty. All I could see of the Lord were the skirts and lower parts of his glorious royal robes, reaching down and spreading out across the temple. Standing and hovering above the Lord on his throne were fiery, flamed-winged creatures who worshipped the Lord in utter reverence and were continually ready to do his bidding. Each of these creatures had 6 wings, 2 outstretched in hovering flight, while the other 4 wings covered their faces and bodies before the extreme glory of the Holy One on the throne. The upper 2 wings were wings of reverence, hiding their faces in reverence and adoring homage, so as to not dare gaze directly upon the Holy One. The lower 2 wings were wings of humility, hiding their lower body and feet that were unworthy of being in the presence of the Holy One, and the middle 2 wings were stretched out wings ready for service. By these wings they hovered above the skirts of the glory of the divine throne, ready to depart on any errand that the Holy One might send them on. And these flaming creatures, while shielding their faces from the intense glory of God, called out to one another in booming voices that shook the thresholds of the temple, as it filled with smoke and the glory of the Lord's presence. They were crying out, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of the light of his glory." At this terrifying sight I was undone, utterly ruined, abhorring my atrocious state of unworthiness and wickedness before the holiness of the Lord. I cursed myself and cried out in devastation, "Oh, woe is me, a cursed man who is ruined! My lips are unclean and vile, and I live amongst a people who are full of wicked speech and filthy lips. For with my own eyes I have seen the King, the Lord of hosts, and realized that I can only perish before his absolute holiness." Then, much to my terror, while I was reeling in speechless ruin, one of the flaming creatures left his station above the lofty throne and flew towards me. In his hand was a burning piece of coal that he had taken from the burning altar, with a pair of tongs. In my state of shock, he touched my mouth with the flaming coal and said, "See, this has touched your lips and has taken away your wickedness. Your sin is now forgiven." After regaining my senses, now relieved from the dreadful burden of my sinfulness, I could then hear the voice of the Lord having a conversation amongst the deity, saying, "Who can I send? Who will go for us?" So with keenness I called out, "Here I am. Here am I. Send me." Then the Lord responded, "Go, but know that your ministry will fail. The people will not understand, and the more you preach, the harder they will become. But you must still preach to them. You must tell them about their condition, that they listen, but they just don't get it, that they look, they just don't understand. Your preaching will keep hardening their hearts further and further until they are completely stupid and senseless, dull and heavy and fat. The more you preach, the heavier and duller their eyes will become, the dimmer and more shut their eyes will be. You are being sent to harden their hearts through preaching, lest they see. Because they had not been willing to see before, so now their eyes will be shut all the more. Your preaching will stop them seeing with their eyes, stop them hearing with their ears, stop them understanding with their hearts, and thus stop them from returning and being healed." Then I responded, "But Lord, how long will I need to keep preaching like this for?" The Lord answered, "Until the hardness of their hearts has resulted in their cities being devastated and abandoned, until their houses are derelict and empty, and the land desolate and laid to waste, until the Lord has removed men far away into captivity, and there are many abandoned areas in the land." The Lord continued, giving a glimmer of hope. However, a remnant of people, a 10th portion, will survive, and then they too will become prey and be destroyed. Even so, Israel will be like the terebinth or oak tree, which, although it has been cut down and appears to be only a dead stump, within it the substance remains at the root, which is the holy seed of the stump that will shoot forth in life.